Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way to 2022 and review them. And this next episode is called The Highlanders. Now, elephant in the room again, and I'm going to do that for all the episodes in this season. It's another missing episode, and unfortunately, unlike the previous one that I talked about, Power of the Daleks, this one doesn't have a good reconstruction of it. It's just still the standard loose cannon, static image with dialogue at the bottom and the soundtrack playing in the background. And maybe, just maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but it could be a good contributor of the fact that I don't particularly like this episode a lot. Now, again, there really isn't much I can judge this episode on because it's still missing, and all I'm really left with is the reconstruction with a few bits that actually survived because they're violent clips that weren't appropriate for viewers and young viewers in Australia, and so they took them out, so they put them back when they made the reconstruction. That's a whole story in and of itself, but the story itself, I mean, it's fine. And by the way, notably, it's important to note, it's the last true, pure, historical story in Doctor Who. Or rather, in the classic series on television, I should say. Because when Doctor Who was initially conceived, it was supposed to be a mix of sci-fi, going to other planets and traveling through time, mixed in with the historical events and elements, like the Marco Polo episodes and the Reign of Terror, obviously, the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, which I still don't know who actually authorized that episode, but the Highlanders, obviously, it deals with a war that happened with the British Redcoats and the Scottish Highlanders in the 1700s, I think. I could be wrong about that. Again, did not grow up in Great Britain, do not know the full story. Sue me if you like. But this is really the end of an era, as it were, and just the focus on more sci-fi oriented episodes. Now, of course, there have been other episodes taking place in the past from the point of view of when those episodes were being filmed and broadcast, and a lot of episodes taking place in contemporary time, sort of, but not a lot of straight up historical stuff. And obviously, the modern series has actually gone back to the episodes taking place during historical events, with obvious examples being the Rosa Parks episode, the William Shakespeare episode, Van Gogh, obviously. But if you actually pay attention, in every single one of those episodes, they're not straight up historical events, right? There's always a sci-fi element to it, like a space racist from the future, or evil witches from the dawn of time, you know, or an invisible creature in the Van Gogh episode, and obviously ghost-like beings who survived the Time War in the Charles Dickens episode. So there's always these sci-fi-ish elements thrown into these historical episodes in the modern series. In the first 3 Hartnell seasons, they were straight-up historical episodes. Really, the only sci-fi element to it was the Doctor himself and the TARDIS. And other than that, the events themselves played out the way that they should have. Like the sacking of Troy and the Mythmakers, or, elephant in the room here, the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. So, this episode really is the last one to follow that mold of just the war between the Redcoats and the Highlanders, which, again, I'm not 100% sure what really went down there. I guess I should have done my research on that one, but yeah, it's an episode. There really isn't much I can say about it. I liked some of the characters in it. I liked the Laird. I believe that's how you pronounce the character's title or label. But yeah, obviously, it introduces us to a great character, one of my favorite companions of all time, James Robert McCrimmon, Jamie, to his friends. Not the best introduction, but I mean, it's a great character. Obviously, it starts out by him as essentially being against the Doctor, trying to kill him, and the Doctor helping a wounded friend of his, and that's how he begins to trust him. And there's still that little bit of distrust between him and the Doctor all throughout the episode, until like about halfway through, when him and Ben and Jamie are on the ship, where you see this friendship brewing between Ben and Jamie. Not really the best start to their relationship, I should say, with Jamie and the Doctor. There is a big major positive I will say about this episode, is this episode has a great usage of Polly. And here's what I mean by that, is that Polly is a character that, when used correctly, she was amazing. Unfortunately, this really didn't happen a lot, but this episode really does make full use of her talents as a character and Annika Wills' skill as an actress. Again, here's what I mean by that, is that a lot of the times in this episode in particular, she really does all the hard work, when you think about it. When her and the other female character that I'm forgetting her name of at the moment, I apologize, but they really do all the work. They manage to trap and overpower the Red Coat officer and sort of force him to direct them to where they need to be. They, on their own, independently, they find the Doctor. They help save Jamie and Ben and the other people on the ship. They really do all the work. This episode really does have a lot of girl power. I don't really know what else. I don't have a better usage of a better word for it. This real episode really does put a massive emphasis on girl power. Like, they get things done. Polly and the other female character, and I apologize for forgetting the name of. And obviously there is a lot of good moments for Ben as well, like the escapology thing that he does with him citing Harry Houdini and how he escaped the chains that they wrapped him in, and him and Jamie helping to lead a coup. There's some really good moments with the Doctor sort of tricking the people in charge, and obviously this is the start of the Doctor adapting a form of disguise, where he disguises himself as an old woman in the tavern to sort of find a way to talk to Polly and the other girl. So this is really the early beginnings of the Doctor infiltrating places. I guess that's one way of putting it, which we will see a lot with the John Pertwee era. But again, and I like that this is also the introduction of the Doctor Who persona that we're going to see used a lot more in the future episodes. But other than that, there really isn't much I can say about this episode. I mean, it's a generic historical one. It does have the honor of being the last one in this format, but yeah, it's an episode. And like, I like how they introduce the idea that Jamie now wants to travel with the Doctor and friends. Like, where he escapes and sort of disappears from the big battle that happens on the ship, and shows up later, helping to escort the Doctor and friends to the TARDIS, and then the Doctor and friends just invite him to join them on their travels, which he eventually does, and obviously the rest is history. But other than that, I don't really have much to say about this episode, so I think I'm going to wrap this up here. Oops. Pretend you did not see that. But that is what I have to say about the Highlanders. Not much positive or negative, but let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and I'll try to respond to that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye. Hi there. Thank you for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.